Blazers Uprise is on Discord, home to a thriving community of Blazer fans. You can join the uprising by clicking the Discord link in the description box below, which will bring you to the #1 place for our awesome community to hang out and chat. This offseason, we'll be hosting our 5th annual mock offseason, where 30 people come together, each running an NBA team through an entire offseason. All of this takes place in our Discord, where you can keep track of trades, free agent signings, and draft picks. And if you want to participate in our upcoming mock offseason, priority is given to the most active Discord members. So use that link below to sign up and join the conversation on Discord. Struggling to sleep at night, or do you want to relax during the day? Manta Sleep Mask has you covered. Their super comfortable, durable, adjustable, one-size-fits-all sleep masks will get you a good night's rest. But it can also help you relax during the day as well. And that's because these sleep masks block out all light, and you can also get them with cooling cups or steam cups. So whether you're falling asleep at night and want to use the Manta Sound Mask to fall asleep to some white noise, or if you've come home after a long day of work and want to de-stress with the steam cups, Manta has you covered with whatever your needs might be. For me, my days are pretty hectic. Running a business is no easy feat. I love to lay down, put on the Manta Sound Mask, and listen to some guided meditation, as it really helps me slow down during the day. I heard from a lot of you that bought a Manta Sleep Mask around Christmas time, and the reviews have been nothing but positive. So if you want to hook yourself up with a Manta Sleep Mask, check out the link in the description box below and use the promo code UPRISE on checkout, as it'll give you a 10% discount on your Manta purchase. It's also a great way to support the channel, so check out Manta Sleep Mask and get yourself a good night's sleep. Now back to the postgame show. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise postgame show presented by Manta Sleep Mask and BetUS. Today, the Portland Trail Blazers fail a litmus test, Eric. They lose to the Boston Celtics 121-99, a 22-point loss for the Portland Trail Blazers today. This game was intriguing for a lot of reasons. The Blazers had played better basketball as of lately. They had competitive losses against the Oklahoma City Thunder and Minnesota Timberwolves, two top teams in the West. Also just beat the Toronto Raptors, have actually won a couple of games recently, and we're getting healthier than ever as Ayton's back, Scoot Henderson is back, and Jeremy Grant returned to the lineup today. But it did not culminate in this team looking as good as they have lately, as they get absolutely destroyed by the Boston Celtics. And this game was kind of just a back and forth where the Blazers were either down 10 points or 20. And they kept clawing back, fighting back, and then Boston would just hit a couple threes and extend the lead. It was kind of like Boston was playing with their food a little bit. So we're going to recap this game, talk about where things went wrong, talk about Jeremy Grant's return in his game, and that's what we got on tap for the post-game show today. Eric, how are you feeling after this game, man? Are you disappointed? Because I'm pretty disappointed.
Yeah, this game was just a major bummer after watching them and feeling pretty excited about the way several guys were playing. I feel like having Grant in there tonight just totally disrupted the young guys' rhythm. We don't see Rupert play at all, so he's not being developed on the court at all, which is a bummer, because that's been one thing that's been exciting to watch him. Not necessarily play well all the time, but just start to process things and learn on the fly. And that's all we can really, look at. That's the only exciting part about the rest of the season, right? So, it's just kind of disappointing. Tumani's been playing well lately. He gets benched out of the starting lineup. Chris starts but doesn't play many minutes. And then we have Jeremy coming back, played 36 minutes. What's the point of Jeremy playing 36 minutes? What are we doing? We lost by 22. I don't get it, man.
It didn't really make sense for just the reason of development, right? We're obviously trying to develop young players. We're 18 and 46 now. So we got to value the minutes that we can give these young players as they can get much needed NBA reps. But also, Jeremy Grant wasn't going to help this team be competitive tonight. I thought he was very brutal, to be quite honest with you. 14 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, 5 for 14 shooting from the field, 1 for 4 from 3. And the Blazers got destroyed on the defensive glass. They gave up 14 offensive rebounds to the Celtics. And a big part of that was just Jeremy, man, just looked like he was going through the motions. I know it's his first game back after a couple of game absence, but man, there was a stretch there in the first quarter where he doesn't box out his guy, and I think it was like Derek White who just crashes in for an easy offensive rebound because Jeremy Grant is just watching the shot go up and not getting a body on someone. And then the next possession down, there was a turnover, and Jeremy Grant was the second guy back in transition and is just getting ran past by Celtics players that are running the floor harder than him, where he's just kind of jogging back. I mean, I was very disappointed with Grant's game today, and it just kind of left me wishing that, we still had some young players in the starting lineup, or we're giving guys like Tamani Kamara more minutes, Banton more minutes, who had been really good the past 2 games, and he only plays 22 minutes, is 2 for 6. It was basically just kind of an afterthought. Rupert only gets garbage time. I was disappointed in Grant, and his return did not go well.
Yeah, and it's nothing against Grant. He's just like the worst type of player I feel like to put in the roster or in the rotation right now. It's like there's no flow when he's in the game. He obviously gets plays called every once in a while just to get him a touch and go one-on-one, and he doesn't have a good feel for when it's there or when it's not. So I don't know. It's like I feel like he's much more suited to be a catch and shoot guy or a contributor on a really good team versus a guy you like count on to create shots over and over again on a bad team. And it's kind of frustrating, man. It's like we want to see the young forwards hardly got any shot opportunities. I know Tamani ended up maybe with a decent amount of shots. How many did you take? 5 shots? Yeah, 1-3. He'd been shooting more than that, right, lately. Chris Murray only gets 1 shot in this game because he's mostly playing with Grant. It's just, to me, that's frustrating.
Yeah. Ball kind of stopped too much in this game, and before this game, I thought a key was this team had to move the ball well because Boston is one of the best defensive teams in the league, and I don't think the ball movement was good today. I think Grant has a part in that, but we've talked about the balance between Grant ISOs being Jeremy Grant just stopping the ball and Chauncey Billups just designing things to run through Jeremy Grant and let him isolate guys. And it just absolutely did not go well. And ISO possessions haven't been super productive for Jeremy Grant so far this season. Like, he'll have moments, but he's much better if he's playing within the flow of things, attacking a closeout, attacking off the catch. I think a lot of players, other than the best players in the league, are better if they play in the flow of things compared to trying to go one-on-one. Because with as much space as you have on the court with the shooting nowadays, if you can get a defense moving and get the ball moving, defenses have so much ground to cover that it's really easy to exploit a defense once you get them shifted. And when you just feed a guy a ball and he goes one-on-one and defenses are able to set their help, it naturally is not going to be as productive offensively as if you move the ball. Unless you have, Luka Doncic. Then it's a different story because he's so special. Jeremy Grant is not Luka Doncic. And it gets frustrating how often we tend to just force feed him ISO possessions. I get it if he's hot and or has a mismatch on him, right? Like, there was a couple possessions where Peyton Pritchard was guarding him, and it's like, okay, well, then throw it into the post, and he needs to go strong against Peyton Pritchard. To his credit, he did once or twice, but for the most part, it's, Al Horford is a good defender. I know he's old by NBA terms, but he's a good defender. That's not a guy to isolate Jeremy Grant on, and I thought there was just a few too many possessions where we were getting ISO heavy with Grant, and the rebounding, man, is really what gets to me He's just a non-factor on the glass, and I don't think it's a surprise that he comes back 36 minutes. This dude has 2 rebounds, and the Celtics have 14 offensive rebounds. Like, he just does not compete on the defensive glass, and, you know, he's a scorer. He's a scorer. This team could use some scoring, but, man, it's frustrating when he comes back, and it's like his scoring has to come through isolation possessions, because that was never going to look good against a team like this. It's not good for young players developing to just sit there in the corner watching someone go one-on-one. It just doesn't have a purpose, and it's not what the identity should be every time we face one of the best defenses in the league, but that's basically been the story with or without Jeremy Grant. If the Blazers face an elite defense, they regress back to very stagnant iso ball under Chauncey Billups, right? I will say, yeah, under Stotts too. Occasionally they'll have moments and they'll have competitive games offensively because they move the ball well. The Minnesota game where Rupert had a few buckets at Minnesota was a perfect example of that. Like, they moved the ball better that game. But I also don't think it's a surprise that they moved the ball better that game. I believe Jeremy Grant was out that game and Malcolm Brogdon was out that game. Like, our veterans have a tendency to stop the ball. Malcolm Brogdon, too. I know he hasn't played in a long time, but it's kind of frustrating how our veterans stop the ball, especially those two. Not to rag on Malcolm Brogdon, like, but man, it's just frustrating to watch, and it's not fun. And I don't think it's good.
Yeah, completely agree. And I just watched this game thinking, man, this sucks. Like now I'm back to like hating watching again, and it's boring and like. But the last couple of games, like I felt really good about watching them. Like, it's exciting. There's things to watch and there's storylines to keep your eye on and stuff. And then this one is just kind of, here we go again. Bunch of players that hopefully aren't on the team next year, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or one in particular, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is why they should have traded Jeremy Grant at the deadline. I mean, it's not just Jeremy Grant's fault. The problem is even without him, I'm sure this offense would have stagnated, and it's more so how do I explain this? Like, this offense, no matter who's on the court, when it goes against a defense like this, just easily folds. And there's a difference between, okay, you don't have much talent, but you're trying to play the right way offensively. You're trying to move the ball, and you're not executing it because you don't have enough talent, right? But you're trying to play your style of basketball. You're trying to play the right way. You're just going against a really good defense, and you're a lottery team. There's a difference between that and just completely folding into, well, we're just going to go one-on-one constantly and like not even try and play what our style of basketball should be. And that's been my problem with Chauncey, and people will use the lineup and the talent differential to explain away any criticism of Chauncey with his offense on a night like tonight, right? Because, you know, they're so much better than us. But man, it's not just that they're better than us, it's just that we stop trying to play the right way offensively far too often, and that's more so the case when Jeremy Grant's in the lineup. And there was the quote earlier this year, basically Chauncey Billups was telling Grant to be super aggressive, and, you know, I'm paraphrasing here, but Grant was sometimes shooting shots that he wasn't super comfortable shooting because of how aggressive Chauncey wanted him to be. But man, like, what are you accomplishing with that at the end of the day? Is that really much better offense than if you just move the ball and play as a team? No. Is that better for other young players developing? No.
Especially now that the season's like we're not making the play-in or anything, so what's the point of trying to win or trying to have your veterans take over, you know? Like I said, it should be there's so much more important things to develop right now than having Jeremy Grant shoot as many shots as he can shoot in a game, you know? Yeah,
it's just ugly offense. At halftime, do you know the fast break points, what they were? At least according to Blazers Radio?
What's it like? I want to say it was something to 2, like 16 or 20 to 2 or something like that.
They said it was 15-0.
Oh, maybe that was at some point in the third quarter then.
Yeah, 15-0 first half. Because I got in my car at halftime.
Yeah, we said we needed to try to run because they're a good half-court defense, and of course we didn't to run it all.
Oh yeah, it's just slow. It's just the offense is so slow. You don't beat good defenses by playing directly into how they want to set things up defensively. But when you slow it down and only play in the half court, and then you don't move the ball, they're able to set things up. They're able to set up their help. They know where their next rotation is. You're not gonna have good offensive nights against good defenses like that. And that's the problem, is it's almost like when we play a defense like Boston's, we willingly embrace that style of play.
Mm-hmm.
I understand if we're trying to move the ball and trying to cut and failing to execute. I'm perfectly okay with that. I would be perfectly okay if we lost 121-99 because we tried moving the ball and we didn't execute. We had a couple bad passes, and at times there were moments like that in this game. Just the big thing that bugs me is when they just seem to willingly embrace playing stagnant basketball against an elite defense, and the results are extremely predictable.
Yeah, so Joey says on the radio for pregame, Rodney Billups was on there saying that they have an emphasis to get 300 passes a game. And you know what? At least half of those are a stupid dribble handoff that goes nowhere.
Yeah, just to those count?
It's like they spam those just to get to 300 or something. Like, and we had one stupid play where we did the dribble handoff just to isolate Jeremy on the side. And it's like, and then Jeremy takes like a terrible shot, or I forgot what happened, but it was like an awful wasted possession. And then at the end of the half, like we don't like do anything, and Ann has to take like a 30-foot 3-point shot, like flat-footed, because no one's moving and no one's doing anything. Like, what are we doing sometimes? Like, it just, and it's not the team that we saw moving around and attacking the paint and getting the ball inside out a lot. And that's why I feel like our 3-point percentage have gotten better recently, is because they were getting some really quality looks from passing out to shooters instead of shooting on the move and stuff. And it just feels very frustrating.
Yeah, like I don't think it's a coincidence that, I don't know. I just feel like it's not a coincidence that Jeremy Grant is back and this is our worst offensive night by far in a while, right? Because since the start of March, we played Memphis twice in a row. We put up 122, then we put up 107, albeit in OTs, so that wasn't a great offensive game. But then we score 114 against Minnesota, 120 against OKC, 107 against Houston, put up 128 against Toronto. That was in OT. And then tonight, 99 points. And it's like, okay, well, what's the difference? The difference is obviously Boston is a really good defensive team, but so is Minnesota. So is OKC. They had good offensive nights against those teams. But the thing is they actually pushed pace in transition. They moved the ball better. And I feel like that's as simple as you can make it for this offense, is when they push the pace, when they move the ball more, they generally have better offensive nights. Of course, it comes down to making shots versus missing shots. Like some nights you're going to be on fire, some nights you're going to be ice cold and in between. But at the end of the day, you can control what you can control, and that is pushing the pace, actually looking to get out and run, and actually having productive ball movement, not just, we're going to run 3 handoffs like it's a double reverse, like we're playing football. So just bummed out with the offense tonight. I think the defense actually, for the most part, was fine. It's just tough when you're going against a team as talented as Boston and you give up 14 offensive rebounds. And Jaylen Brown ended up having a pretty inefficient night, 13 for 29, 1 for 8, but he had multiple finishes in the first half where it was like, wow, that was really good defense. That's just Jaylen Brown bullying his way to the rim. You know what I mean? Like, You got Ant on him. Ant's undersized compared to him, and Jaylen Brown is super physical, and it's a tough matchup for Ant, right? Like, there was multiple possessions where it was like, man, that team is talented. Now, you don't want to let Sam Hauser get wide open threes like we did in this game. That's the only thing he does is shoot threes. He's 6 for 10 from 3, 8 for 12 from the field, right? 22 points from Sam Hauser in 32 minutes. You got to be kidding me with that. But for the most part, I think the defensive effort was pretty good. It's just you got some good players that made some plays for Boston, the defensive transition, there were some just struggles, like not getting back well enough, and they did a good job getting out and running. But they put up 121 points on the board because you give up 14 offensive rebounds. So the boards, the offense, gross. Defense, I didn't really have a major issue with it. Do you agree with that, or do you disagree with that?
I have an issue with the schemes. And a couple players in particular on defense, and our transition defense is still, we're just like not even getting back, as pathetic. So I don't know. Like our half court defense, I guess once it was set was fine, outside of the rebounds like you mentioned, but we have a serious problem with laziness and dying on screens and switching for no reason, almost like we're just like we want to switch Ant onto Tatum at the free throw line. Having flashbacks of Dirk Nowitzki doing that to us for like 10 straight years of just like getting whoever our point guard is to switch on him and just posting him up and shooting that little fadeaway at the free throw line. But Tatum would take it to the rack more. So like, yeah, it's just, and then we treat Sam Hauser like he's a non-shooter. Like it's like, where's the scouting report that like that guy, all he's going to do is shoot freaking threes. Like there's no, like if you're letting him get that many wide open threes, like your game plan was a complete failure in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. I mean, there's also just little executional mistakes that there was really no explanation for. One of them was Jeremy Grant gets screened. He's guarding Jason Tatum. There's a ball screen, and Jeremy Grant goes under and lets Jason Tatum walk into a wide-open pull-up three that he hits. Like, you're guarding Jason Tatum. You got to go over that screen. I mean, just stuff like that, especially from a veteran. You've played against Jason Tatum for years. Everybody knows what Jason Tatum is capable of. He's capable of hitting jumpers off the dribble, threes included. You can't go under a screen like that. And that's the problem, is just the pick and roll defense. We switch at the second highest rate of any team in the league. When we have a big lineup, it's more capable of switching. But when you're starting Scoot and Ant together, you can't switch as much. Mm-hmm. Especially against a team that's pretty big. Like Derek White is, 6'5", but he plays bigger than his size. Jaylen Brown is 6'6", but he plays bigger than his size. Like, you're struggling if you're going to switch two 6'3" guards onto front court players with a team like this that is exceptionally good at taking advantage of those mismatches. So, I mean, it's just executional stuff that isn't necessarily due to them being more talented than us. It's executional stuff that's just, we're switching too much. We go under a screen and let Jason Tatum walk into a three, and that's Jeremy Grant. I'd understand if that was Ryan Rupert, right? Like, right. Or somebody like that. But when it's Jeremy Grant, it's frustrating. And, I mean, that's just another point towards that dude can't navigate screens properly. So there's just the defense, I think, half-court defense, I think, was okay. I don't think it was good, but I don't think it was, like, terrible enough for me to rant about it. But there was some stuff that just had me scratching my head.
Tori, I'm gonna say something against what you just said about Grant going under that screen. Mm-hmm. I was impressed that whether it was the wrong move under or over the screen, he got through a screen though. Like, can't you give him credit for that? Because the other 90 times that happened in this game, he freaking died on it and didn't even try to get back into the play and was freaking lazy. And then the shot would go up and he'd just turn around and stand there. That's how he got his 2 freaking rebounds. They just happened to bounce right to him as he's standing there boxing no one out. Yeah. So frustrating watching these guys play and not give a crap how much effort they put into this stuff, man. Just that's why I want to watch the young guys. Because, like, Repair's not doing that, and if he does, he's getting yanked out of the game, and it's going to be a learning experience, you know? Like, it frustrates the crap out of me watching these guys be lazy and get 36 freaking minutes while you would have guys that need these minutes and would get much value out of playing right now. I don't care, like, they're not ready to play. Or, like, I'd rather someone not be ready to play but gives effort than someone who just treats the game like a joke like Jeremy Grant did tonight.
Yeah, so what's the goal of getting through a screen? It's to stay with the ball handler. If you get through a screen because you completely leave Jason Tatum wide open from 3, to me, that doesn't even count as getting through a screen. So, no, I won't give him credit for that, Eric, because that's not good. But I fully agree. Like, I would rather watch Rupert play than Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant is obviously a better player. But, dude, if we had a really good team, the Boston Celtics, and Jeremy Grant was, his scoring was helping us win basketball games, like, great, okay? I'll accept his flaws because we've known that he's a terrible rebounder for years, right? And he's not really going to be somebody that makes plays for others, even though I want this coaching staff to challenge him with that. I'll accept those flaws if we're a winning team and he's helping us win games. But when we need to establish a style of play on offense especially, and it felt like we had taken a couple of steps towards some consistency in that regard in the month of March, right? It's nothing to like really write home about, but the standards are very, very low. So I actually thought, we had some positive progress considering. And then he's just felt like a step back tonight. And that's why I thought this was a litmus test too. And that's why I titled the thumbnail the way I did, is because I thought they had made positive progress, but this is the type of team where they just get out hustled, their offensive style regresses, and this is exactly what we saw tonight, unfortunately. So pretty disappointed. It's a good team, but man, I thought they would come out and give this team more of a battle than they did.
Well, this is my ultimate problem with what I saw from Grant tonight. Why is it acceptable from the coaches? Like, why is he getting 36 minutes to go out there and do that stuff? Like, why are they not, like, saying, like, you need to show more effort and you can come back in when you do that? Like, because, like I said, I know that young guys aren't doing those kind of things, Like, why is he not held accountable at all for not rebounding? And, like, Chauncey even said that was a goal of his to challenge Jeremy to be a better rebounder this year and stuff like that. How come that's just not happening anymore? They don't care anymore? Like what is our coaching staff doing?
Oh, I'm muted. Okay, I'm good now. Yeah, good question, man. Good question. But it's what it is. I mean, it's kind of funny because, like, I was very critical of Ayton for some of the same laziness he had early in the season, but, like, I have nothing bad to say about Ayton, dude. That dude plays hard.
He's our best player.
and he's playing hard. He was the only dude that was, like, legitimately rebounding the ball. Had a couple of offensive rebounds. Like, no problems with Ayton. Ayton's effort has been much better recently in the past, month and a half than it was at the start of the season. I don't know what changed with him, and I don't know if it's something where, like, he's going to regress at some point, but I'm very happy with how Ayton's playing compared to, like, the type of game we saw from Jeremy Grant tonight. And it's like, I feel like if it's a game where Jeremy Grant is, 9 for 17 from the field and, like, 4 for 9 from 3, then, okay, we wash over all the other flaws. But when he's forcing some really tough shots for no reason, ISO heavy, and has an inefficient night, then all of a sudden all those other flaws and frustrations are much harder to ignore. And Ayton, on the other hand, like, basically it's just take the ball strong to the rim, shoot the open mid-range if that's what they're giving you, and that's kind of what Boston gave him, and he shot it, and he made a decent amount of mid-range shots this game. And there's a reason why he was 11 for 19. That's an efficient night. 15 rebounds, 6 of them offensively. He had 6 of our 9 offensive rebounds and 22 points. I mean, he had 30 last game, 22 today. I'm okay with him calling himself dominating if this is how he's going to play the last 2 games. And it's just a night and day difference compared to the way Jeremy Grant looked tonight. And it's kind of wild to say that, given the criticism that I had for Ayton earlier in the season.
I still don't think he's having a huge impact defensively. That's the only negative thing I'll say. But I kept thinking today, like, let's just say we draft Alex Sarr, and he has this exact season, like every game stats are exactly the same as Ayton this year. We'd be so pumped right now, Tori, about how, like, this guy scored 22 and 14 tonight or whatever Ayton had. What were his final numbers? Like, we'd be so stoked about it, right?
Yeah.
And I know
Max.
Max contract versus Ayton or whatever, but like pretty much any other center we had, if they were putting up the numbers Ayton's been putting up for the last month, we'd be saying we for sure have our center for the future. Like, it's set in stone, right? Like, this guy's like going to be a mainstay for the next like 6 or 7 years here. So like I really like what Ayton's been doing. Obviously, the max contracts thing still could be an issue at some point, but man, I almost think like someone got to him and told him how dumb he was being when he made those comments. I don't know how long ago that was, 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, whatever. But like ever since that, he's done the opposite of what those comments said he was about or whatever. And so, like, if it took him being stupid for someone to get into his ear and be like, dude, you cannot keep doing this. Like, you're setting yourself up for this ridicule and for people to not like you. And for if you have inconsistent games, they're going to crush you after making comments like that. So someone is probably in his ear telling him, like, no, you can't be like, oh, I've arrived and I don't have anything to prove. You have everything to prove, and he's played like it since then. So maybe it's just something to where those comments made him or someone like use that as a teaching moment to show like this is how immature you're being or whatever. And I mean, you can't fault any of his effort since that. Since those comments, and yeah, he's easily been our most consistent player and our best player when he's been on the floor.
Yeah, well, I think Chauncey Billups actually has done a decent job of holding him accountable.
Yeah.
It seems like Chauncey Billups has been pretty hard on him over certain things. I think that guy could be Chauncey Billups, to be quite honest with you. Because there was a little bit of tension between those two earlier in the year.
There was, I don't know if it was on the trail or something, but I caught part of something where Ayton specifically said it was like one of the coaches. I don't know if it was Billups or not, but someone said like they were constantly challenging him and that he needed to be challenged constantly, which is a little disappointing that you need that. But like, it was good that someone was doing that at least.
Yeah, and this...
Maybe Shaq can help me with who that was.
Yeah, you talked about, like, you know, if we had a different center putting up numbers like these, we'd be saying this is our franchise center. But with Ayton, you know, it's the thing is with Ayton is he's had stretches like this in the past in Phoenix, but he could never maintain it. Like, it was never truly who he was on a game-in, game-out basis for, like, multiple seasons. And obviously players are going to have inconsistencies, but with Ayton, it was like... he was more consistent at being inconsistent, if that makes sense. Like, stretches of play like this were only stretches compared to somebody that was like good game in, game out and would just have like a bad game. There's a difference. And, you know, being friends with Suns Valley Podcast, I've watched Ayton pretty closely over the last 3 years. And that's why, you know, he's putting up numbers like this, but it's hard to sit here and start gassing him up like, yeah, he's the answer, and he's this, and he's that.
Right.
Because I need to see it for a very extended period of time, considering his inconsistency in the past. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's very fair, because he's proven to be inconsistent in the past. When he's having games like this, I'll praise it. But if he regresses back to how he was playing earlier in the season, I'll criticize it. Because I criticized him a ton earlier in the season because he was not playing up to snuff. He was not playing up to the standard that I believe the Blazers had for him and fans should have had for him. And I got some pushback. People said, you're just an Ayton hater. You just want to criticize Ayton no matter what. And I told people, I will praise him when he starts playing like how he's capable of. When he starts playing harder, and when he starts being more aggressive, and when he starts trying to take the ball to the rim more, when he starts rolling harder, all these little things that he was not doing at the start of the year were very, very legitimate criticisms. We got Taylor Packer in chat. Me and Taylor was a very big Ayton supporter at the start of the season. Me and Taylor had a bunch of back and forths and a bunch of arguments because I was criticizing Ayton and Taylor was saying, Give it some time. I don't believe he needed time to play like this. I believe maybe a little part of it is the team is looking for more. The team is trying to feed him more. But I do think a big part of this is he is playing with more effort. He's playing with a better mindset, and he is in control of his mindset. And that's what I said at the time. Like, I'm criticizing him because he is in control of the effort he gives and how hard he plays, how aggressive he is taking the ball to the rim, etc. Little stuff like that he is in full control of, and there is no excuse for not doing those things. And would you look at that? He started doing those things, and all of a sudden, he's much closer to dominating games than he was at the start of the year when he was calling himself dominating. So I don't think that's a coincidence, and that's why I was critical of him, because he should be held to the standard that he's playing at now, and if he's not reaching that, there's a problem.
Yeah, the thing that I can't shake, though, is he's doing it on a team where he's got no real... I mean, we talked about how Jeremy Grant has no accountability, right? Like, there's no one like a Booker or Chris Paul yelling at him when he messes up or whatever because he cost them a game, or maybe like a low-energy play could have been the difference in a playoff series or something. You know, like, we're terrible. So, like, he can just kind of go out there and play, and if he plays well, it's great. If he doesn't, like, it's not a big deal anyway, like, right? So I am still kind of worried that if we do become a good team somewhere down the road with Ayton still on it, that some of those issues that he had with when it started to matter, like games, every detail, every effort on every play, you know, not taking possessions off and doing the things he's doing now, like for the whole 30 plus minutes you're playing. I do wonder if those things will start to creep back in if he's just having fun with no responsibility and scoring a bunch of points right now and doing that. But I mean, until that moment comes, there's no way to know for sure. I always talk about like the Ben Simmons thing, because after the Ben Simmons playoff disaster was that summer where it was rumored that we're going to trade CJ and picks for him all summer, and I just, no matter how well Ben Simmons would have played that next year, I would have been worried in the playoffs that he would go right back to how he was back then, because it's like a mental thing for some of these people. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't fully trust it, but I'm enjoying it right now, and I think he has to be given some credit for figuring out how to contribute more than he was earlier in the season.
Yeah, I mean, my thing that I think about with this right now is he seemed to struggle with Monty's accountability last year in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he and Monty Williams clashed, and it seemed like Monty trying to hold him accountable didn't work with him. It seems
but
like,
he also had an issue with like Chris Paul and Booker and stuff.
But it seems like this coaching staff is able to have more success holding him accountable than Monty Williams did.
For now, but is part of that because it doesn't, like, we're not, because like in Phoenix last year, like every game you go over film and be like, dude, why are you doing this in this situation? Like in this one, we're kind of doing that, but it's not. I mean, we lost by 22. Like one play is not going to be the difference in a game or whatever, you know?
Yes. But also, you know what it is like if maybe it took a second coach to try and hold him accountable for him to realize that like he was part of the problem, right? It's that way with some people in relationships, right? They date someone and they have their issues in the relationship, but they blame the other person, right? Because that's all they know if it's their first serious relationship. And Monty Williams is, I believe, the only other NBA coach that DeAndre Ayton had, right? But then you get in another relationship and you start having the same problems, and then it's, well, all this stuff is happening in a new relationship. Maybe part of it is actually me. Sometimes it takes that second voice. Sometimes it takes a second circumstance for people to realize that they own some fault in some of the recurring things that are happening. Like, it could be very possible DeAndre Ayton came here, kind of kept the same attitude. This coaching staff is trying to hold him accountable. Maybe this coaching staff is able to resonate a little bit better with DeAndre Ayton, and that's part of it. And maybe it just took a second coaching staff holding him accountable in the same way for him to actually take an honest look at himself that he wasn't willing to do in Phoenix. That is very, very possible. Now, obviously, as you said, there's differences in the situation. Like, who knows at the end of the day? I don't know, but it is very possible that that's what he needed. I'm not sure. I just want to raise that possibility.
Well,
we still don't know what he is for the future. I'm not arguing that, once we start winning and have a leader in here that is willing to get on guys like a Chris Paul, that he's not going to revert back to some of the stuff he did in Phoenix. But at the same time, we don't know that this isn't a scenario where he just needed another situation, another coaching staff to hold him accountable for him to take an honest look at himself.
Yeah, but that's why the comments he made were so troubling when he made it seem like he had nothing to prove or whatever. Like,
yeah, he had struggled up to that point. He started playing great literally like the next game after those comments. Because I remember I was saying, I'm done with him after those comments. I was like, I'm done. This dude is saying, what? Are you kidding me? I was pissed. And then all of a sudden he starts playing great.
Yeah, but like why, if the coaching staff is so much better for him here, why wasn't he showing that earlier before that, those comments?
I mean, you need time. It's a new situation. I don't know. It could have been those comments led to a conversation that was good for him. An honest conversation between whoever's holding him accountable that was good for him. Right?
Yeah.
Like, at some point, there is a chance that stuff starts to get through to him in terms of people trying to hold him accountable for stuff. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean like, okay, he gets under a new coaching staff in day one, they're going to be able to get through to him.
That's true. I think part of the problem, though, to me is like some of the things he struggles with. I mentioned the defensive stuff. Like, he rarely comes out on screens. He often messes up the coverages.
How much of him not coming out on screens is coverage, though? Is that design?
I don't know. That's the thing. But I'm saying in the past, that's been one of the big issues with him, because everyone knows he scores. Like, even in Phoenix, when they had issues with him, he was averaging 18 and 12 and stuff. Like, he was still getting his points despite how good of scorers he had around him and stuff. So like, I know he wanted a bigger role, but he had a pretty dang big role offensively. So a lot of their issues with him were effort levels on defense and messing up coverages and things like that. Whereas on our team right now, like, everyone messes up coverages, or our coverages are stupid. So it's more like schemes are bad. So I don't know if it's magnifying anyone in particular on defense outside of, like Jeremy dying on screens like tonight. But so my problem is, once again, once we start getting towards being a good team again, are those kind of things then going to be an issue? And if he's all of a sudden being held accountable for stuff he hadn't been held accountable for 2 or 3 years, does he start to revert back? I'm not saying he will. I'm just worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a rabbit hole of what ifs. Right? Like, it's legitimate concerns, but at the same time, like, all I have to do is give him credit for how he's playing lately. And it seems like some sort of accountability is working with him, especially given that he started playing better right after those comments. Right? Like, he like makes that comment, I'm basically done with him, and then it's like a switch got flipped. So we can sit here and guess as to what exactly happened, but it seems like this coaching staff is able to hold him more accountable than Phoenix's was, because Phoenix struggled with that. And who knows how many other factors play into that? There could be multiple, right? It could just be Monty Williams did not resonate with DeAndre Ayton in the same way that Chauncey Billups is capable of, right? It could be as simple as that. I don't know how complex it is, But all I know is he's playing great basketball lately, and we'll see if it continues. I mean, we will raise these questions 100% if he starts to struggle, if his effort wanes, and if he starts to mope, and he starts to have games where he's 3 for 10 because he just settles and has 7 points and, you know, what would be 6 points because he doesn't shoot threes. He doesn't shoot threes or free throws. If that happens, all these questions, we will raise them. We will talk about them. But he's playing great. James Yang said Tory cancel culture on Ayton hurt his feelings and he stepped up for now. Yeah, like, I don't think the rest of the season he's going to revert back. I think he's enjoying the little pressure he has. The start of next season is going to be when to really pay attention to him, in my opinion. The start of next season is what's going to be huge in terms of evaluating, okay, is this dude continuing to play like he did the second half of this season? Or is there pressure at the start of next season, expectations at the start of next season, and he struggles with those? So, rest of the season, you know, obviously want him to continue to play like this, but I truly think the start of next season, the first month or two of next season, are really going to be when we get a true feel for if Portland has been able to get his career any more on track than in Phoenix. You're muted, by the way, in case you're talking.
Max and Ayton's been using PEDs. He did get suspended for that.
Yeah, maybe that's the key. Maybe they're just not testing us because we're so bad that they don't want to spend the resources to test us for PEDs.
Yeah, so what's going to happen when we get, like, because Jeremy's not this player. Anthony, I think, is trying to be this, but he's not there. Scoot's more like a rah-rah leader. We don't have that Draymond Green or PJ Tucker or, you know, we don't have that guy who's going to get in someone's face and hold them accountable from a player. Like Brogdon is a nice mentor, you know. So I'd be interested to see if we do add that kind of player this summer. How Ayton responds to that.
If Ayton was playing like he's played the last month and a half with that type of player on the team, I don't think that type of player would have had much to yell at Ayton about in the first place. You know what I mean? If Ayton played like he did the first month and a half of the season where, you know, he was not good at all, then that's when that can snowball if you have a guy that is willing to get into his teammates like a Draymond or, you know, whoever, because Draymond wouldn't put up with how Ayton was playing the first month and a half of the season. The last month and a half, Ayton's been giving enough effort and playing well enough that I don't think he's going to be getting cussed out like that. And that was the thing in Phoenix is he would have it would basically start with him where his effort would wane and then Chris Paul would get on his ass and then it would get worse. I think at the end of the day, it still starts and ends with DeAndre Ayton. So if this is something that he can maintain, I don't think he would fold at the sight of a PJ Tucker, Draymond Green type of teammate. But maybe I'm being too optimistic with Ayton, which is kind of crazy to say.
Yeah. I still am not 100% there defensively with his effort, but offensively I am.
The rest of the defense is a mess.
I know.
Like, the defense is designed. They switch the second highest amount of screens in the league, which teaches defenders, in my opinion, to be lazy.
Right.
You don't have to get through the screen. We're going to switch, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, okay, we'll try and be physical if you're a Scoot Henderson on an Al Horford type of guy, right? But, like, it doesn't teach guys to get through screens, and it teaches the bigs man, okay, you just got to, like, step up and guard whoever comes off the screen. And there's a reason why we force less and less turnovers. We were one of the best teams at the start of the year of forcing turnovers. Today, Eric, the Blazers forced 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
And it's because of that passive-ass defense. And it's part of the reason why, Boston was able to get 14 offensive rebounds. You're switching smaller guys onto bigger guys, and those bigger guys will have a better time rebounding over them compared to DeAndre Ayton, who's out on the perimeter and is contesting threes because he's getting switched out onto guards. That's why it's impressive that Ayton still got 15 rebounds in 33 minutes. But I just think the scheme is almost non-existent because switching isn't even really a scheme, and the Blazers just switch like crazy. And you got a lot of guys that'll bite at pump fakes, and there's just a lot of mess around this team. Like we talked about last season with Nurk, right? Like Nurk didn't look too good defensively, but like look at all the mess around him. In Phoenix, he's actually been noticeably good defensively. Yeah, and advanced metrics back it up. So I think with Ayton, I can't hold anything against him defensively when it's just kind of a bit of a mess around him.
Yeah, but my whole point is when it's not a mess eventually, hopefully, fingers crossed, and it starts standing out if he's messing up on defense. I'm not saying he is or he isn't, but let's just say he is. Well, then what happens to him mentally if he starts to get called out for that?
I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Like,
of course, I'm just saying, like I think right now it's fine because the whole defense is a mess. So like no one's really standing out as the problem. So like I think it's fine for right now. But I think that's perfect for Ayton in this situation is not having a ton of accountability on that end while also doing really well on offense. That's like the perfect situation for him mentally.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Before we talk about other things, we're going to do Tank-a-thon here in a little bit. We have a few more players that we need to get through. But before we get to that, I want to thank our sponsor of this post-game show, BetUS. To happen. My whole streaming software just glitched out. Strange. My webcam disappeared. We good? Okay. I don't know what happened. I try to play the ad and my whole screen went black. Okay, Eric, we'll try this again. I want to just
the stream went black too.
yeah, very strange. No, that's not how it was supposed to go, chat. It's not how it was supposed to go. Anyway, we'll try this again. Thank you to our post-game sponsor for the stream, BetUS.
Betting and Racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
Okay, there we go. Much better. I want to look at a couple different things here on BetUS that is available to you right now. With it being March 11th, March Madness is right around the corner. You can bet on conference tournaments, and they actually have a lot more options than the last time that we looked, Eric. You can bet on the Pac-12 tournament, the final Pac-12 tournament. You can have some fun with it, as I think it's actually a little bit wide open. You got
what are the beefs?
Well, let's find out where the beefs are.
Bet on the beefs.
Once it loads. I know Arizona is the favorite. Will this load, please?
Your computer hates you.
Yeah, I mean, I need to figure it out. There we go. We got Arizona as the favorite. Minus 160 odds on them. Oregon State is plus 25,000.
Let's go. Bet $100 and win $25,000, guys.
Yeah, and with a 125% sign-up bonus, that's more like, 40,000? No, 50,000, 55,000. That's a lot of money. Oregon State, they beat Arizona earlier this year, right?
Yeah. At home, they're fine at home. They're terrible anywhere away from Gill Coliseum. So
it is a neutral court. So
I
it's
know,
not
but
technically
I know it's still not Gill Coliseum. I don't know what it does there.
Plus 25,000 is an insane line, but USC is plus 2,000. I think they're capable of winning it. They have some talent. Isaiah Collier, of course. Mm-hmm. You got Colorado with Cody Williams. You got some fun players in this tournament. Arizona, I think, is very beatable. And I think this Pac-12 tournament is very fun because I could see a team like USC beating a team like Arizona. I just don't have faith in Arizona. So if you guys want to root for one of these schools, if you're a Duck fan and want to place some money on the Ducks, you can get plus 1,000 odds for them to win the Pac-12 conference tournament. With the 125% sign-up bonus, that's, like plus 2,250. Bet $100, you can win, or if you deposit $100, you get that extra $125 on top of that, makes it $225, which means you can win $2,250 for just your $100 deposit. So this bonus that BetUS is offering you can basically make these lines even more in your favor, even better, even bigger, even higher. We like better, bigger, and higher, right? So.
Yeah, just don't waste your money on Utah, Washington, Stanford, or Arizona State.
Yeah, Arizona State sucks. But they did beat Washington State earlier this year. I don't know. Pac-12, I mean, it's the last tournament. You might as well have some fun with it because next year it's not going to happen. It's the last time, unfortunately. Plus their conference championship game, but they've been really good all season long. They are plus 195 to make the tournament. I actually think it's closer to 50-50 that they make the tournament. I do bracketology every year, so this is actually kind of my area of expertise. You take that 125% sign-up bonus, one of the three that BetUS is offering you, and plus 195 I actually like. I would not take the no here at minus 250. It's not worth it. But the yes, I definitely would consider that because I think it's pretty close to 50-50, and if you bet 100, you get 195 with Indiana State.
Do they get in just to see Robbie be the darling of the NCAA tournament?
That would be fun. They'd probably be a first four team, but first four teams, there's always like one that makes it to the next round. Mm-hmm. And Pittsburgh did it last year, and I think FDU, because they beat Purdue, I think FDU was a first four team too, right? So, and then they went and got a 16-1 upset. So first four teams tend to do pretty well. Just remember that when picking your bracket. You also got Caitlin Clark specials here. She's phenomenal. She's so much fun to watch. You can already bet on her to win WNBA Rookie of the Year and stuff like that. Points per game average in the WNBA her rookie season, as well as some March Madness stuff for her. Yeah, this is the action you can get in on. I love March, Eric. I love March. It's a magical time of year.
Yep.
So make sure you get on the action with BetUS 325% deposit bonuses with promo code JOIN125. Sign up with our link in the description box below. Great way to support the channel. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the post game and for crashing my stream for a second there. No, that was a problem on my end. I have a Stream Deck, so basically I have this little rectangle with little buttons, right? And a lot of times I just won't even use it because I can just click on my screen. But like I tried using the Stream Deck and it just completely shut everything down.
Are you sure it wasn't the leprechaun on the screen?
It might have been the evil freaking leprechaun. I got other pictures too. I think I made a third one here. I'll put in the third one. Where is it at?
What is he eating? Octopus?
I don't know what he's eating. I did not tell Bing Create or whatever they call it to put food on his plate, but
I was wondering if that was a BetUS graphic.
No. That's just something completely different. Something completely different. Yeah. Occasionally I'll put the AI images up there. No, that is not BetUS.
Is he eating the Blazers?
There we go. We got a bit. That's like a 20-foot leprechaun, which is kind of scary, man. Kind of scary, but might go back to just creating random images to put up in that top left section because it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. But let's rapid fire any other performances you want to talk about. Scoot 5 for 12 again. 1 for 5 from 3. Had to shoot a couple like buzzer beater threes. Had 8 assists, 5 turnovers. Yeah. I mean, this is an elite defense. Like, I thought he was okay. What'd you think?
You're cutting out.
Am I?
I don't know if that's mine or yours.
Hopefully I'm not. Chat, let me know if my mic is cutting out at all. But go ahead, Eric.
The turnovers, I mean, they're bothersome. Don't get me wrong. But the turnovers themselves aren't the issue I have with Scoot Henderson right now. And I'm sorry to do this, but Scoot Henderson has a problem, and he needs to fix that crap right now. And that's every time he turns the ball over, he jogs or walks back down the court and doesn't hustle back. And it's pissing me off, Tori. Like, I do not understand how this guy is getting away with doing this so often. And if I was on the coaching staff, I would be ripping into him at every timeout about his effort level after a turnover. And I do not understand, because as a point guard, your whole life, right? Every team I've ever been on, unless you're the one shooting the ball, you're the one who's supposed to be getting back first on defense, right? And I don't know if that's Portland's philosophy or not, but that's most of the time the point guard is the guy who needs to get back. And when he's, even with guys, when he turns the ball over and is barely crossing half court as the guy's laying it up, it's just inexcusable. And I do not understand how a guy who plays so hard and with so much energy can be this poor at getting back on defense and hustling back and just, not moping about turnovers and things like that. It is driving me crazy. And until it gets fixed, dude, I'm done with Scoot. I'm done with him until he fixes this. It's killing me watching him. I'm sorry.
I think you're being a little harsh.
I'm not, dude. It's inexcusable in my mind. He needs to fix it. I cannot stand it, dude. I was disgusted watching him tonight. I'm sorry.
I don't even know how to respond to this, because
if I watch tape with him, I tell him to his face, dude. Like, this is inexcusable, man. Like, I don't know, man.
I don't know. Like, truthfully, I just rewatched all his turnovers, and his effort wasn't good, but I don't think it was as drastically horrendous done with him like that. I don't know.
It's been, I've mentioned it in several points this season. It's not good, man.
His problem's getting back. He has problems getting back when he doesn't turn over the ball. I don't think it's necessarily turnover related.
Yeah, because he just stops. He doesn't get back. I watch him. I watch him every possession. I was like,
I think in a game like this, Boston does a really good job of running out after a turnover, filling the lanes and getting ahead. And I think too many players on this team just assume they were getting a bucket. And I think Grant had moments like that. Scoot had moments like that. I think multiple players on this team had moments where it was they got out in the floor so well, and it's a 3-on-1, and they're just oh yeah, they're scoring that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's just
still
a team-wide problem. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and say I am completely done with Scoot because of that. I think that's a little harsh.
I'm not done with him. I'm done. I'm not going to. I don't know. I cannot get behind a player that's that lazy. I can't, man. It makes me think everything else is, it's.
I mean, I don't know. Watching some of these clips, I think there's been clips like this where Ant has done the same thing, and we haven't completely blasted him like this. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Ant's done it too. Ant obviously has had several times where he doesn't get foul calls and complains. Dame did that for years as well. But I'm specifically talking about when you turn the ball over and just stop and don't don't move very hard down the court. I don't like it.
Yeah. I don't know.
The one out of the half, the first play of the second half, like I don't know, man.
Is that the most egregious play?
It was the most egregious one of the turnovers. But there were several right after that where he just stopped, not even getting to half court, and we were basically playing 5-on-4. Not off of turnovers necessarily, but
yeah, I don't know. I think he has to do a better job getting back in general. Like one of like I'm watching these turnovers. Like one of them, he like drove in the lane, and that was when like he upended Al Horford. I think it might have been a blocked shot and not actually a turnover. Oh, it was a lob to Ayton, right? And he was like already the fifth guy back just because he was already in the paint and like had Al Horford jumping on top of him.
Okay. Let me clarify something. Okay. I'm not talking about if you drive and you don't score or whatever and you're on the baseline and you don't get back fast enough or other players are quicker down the court. I'm specifically talking about times where you and several other players are about in the same general area and you take about 3 steps in the time they get all the way down the court and you basically just give up on plays. It's all the other players we talked about who do stuff, complain to the refs or don't get back all the time. In a situation where it's a dead sprint, I don't see them just stopping or jogging up at the court. I see them at least trying to hustle back, with the exception of Jeremy a couple times tonight did that as well. But it's not like a consistent thing with Jeremy. He did it a couple times. But Scoot, it's like very frequent. It's like a lot of times he doesn't get back. It's driving me crazy. I'm probably going a little too overboard. It's just I cannot stand watching players that do that.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, he's probably not in game shape considering he just sat out like an entire month, and this is his second game back.
That's happened all season.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's been some issues with that earlier this season that I've criticized Scoot for, right? Like, I'm with you. I think in regards to a game like this, there's there's
a reason why they're getting back down on the court. They beat us down the court so many times this game.
I don't know. I rewatched turnovers. Like, one was a pass out of bounds, so nothing to get back for. One was when he was the last guy, like closest guy to the baseline when Al Horford tipped it, right? And he was going to be the last guy back no matter what. And one of them, he looked like he was kind of jogging back, but he let Banton pick up the ball, and then he sprinted out on the corner shooter and actually did a decent job of contesting it in transition. It was a Sam Hauser 3. And, like, that one, maybe he could have sprinted back and, like, made sure he picked up Pritchard, but he still ran back hard enough to contest the corner 3. So it's really just like the other two where I kind of see what you're saying. It was the first one of the game where he like tried to jump at the guy who stole the ball. It was when he got back tipped. But like that play too, I talked about like Jeremy Grant was jogging back like very freaking slowly on that play, and Scoot had his momentum going downhill. Like, would have been hard for him to get back in that play at all. I don't know.
Also on that play, I don't understand how he's looking. He sees Derek. It was Derek White that tipped it from behind.
Yeah.
Like he sees him all the way down the court, like behind him, and he still just lets him come right behind him and tip the ball.
Yeah, that was a little weird. Like, I think he thought he was still just on his right, and I mean, it is kind of weird that he didn't do a better job protecting that, but sometimes I feel like that's just a rookie thing where he's so used to, even when he's jogging, being quicker than anybody else on the floor, that he doesn't expect to get back tapped like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of overconfidence in his own speed.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is though. Like, I'm grasping at straws with that.
Mm-hmm. But the one that really threw me over the top was his second turnover, the one right out of halftime.
Yeah, that one was the worst one for sure. Yeah, but that was one of those plays where I was talking about where like Jaylen Brown had a step, and you can't just assume that a guy's going to score because Grant might block it off the backboard. Brown might miss the lay-in. So it's not really an excuse, but I think that was kind of a problem where in situations like that, as a team collectively kind of failed given that extra effort, just kind of assuming like, oh, he has a step, he's going to finish this fast break.
Yeah, but, well, one, I don't like that being the mindset of a young guy, so I want that to be coached out of him. And two, it's like Jeremy's getting back. Like there's a chance Jeremy contests that shot or blocks it off the backboard. Like Tamani had a block off the backboard tonight. Like if Pritchard is standing right next to Scoot when he gets when he throws the ball away and then beats him down the court by like 10 feet, if Pritchard's going to get the rebound in that situation and put it in, and Scoot will have not been a factor in that play. So it's not, we can dissect like one or two things like, oh, the guy was going to score. It was a 3-on-0 fast break. What was he going to do? But it's like, it's happening way too much, even like on plays where they don't score. I think that's one of the main reasons why our transition defense has been so poor this season.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't agree. I don't disagree with the criticism. I think, I don't know. See, that's the tough thing. I don't disagree. I think just the way it was worded was a little too harsh, which normally I never say that about anything you have to say. So it's a little, I was just a little taken aback.
He's too good not to do this is my point. Like he's too good to be doing this crap. So it's bothering me that someone that good, it's like Ayton at the beginning of the season, right? Like we know Scoot, like someone in chat said, is the quickest player on the court most nights. And so like for him to be getting beat up and down the court like this, just because he's slowing down, to me, it is an issue. And I want it to be corrected, and I want it to be coached out of him right now before it gets to be a habit. And it seems to me like it's becoming a habit over the course of the year. And so, yeah, I might have been a little too harsh, but to me, it's for a person as athletic and as quick as Scoot Henderson, this should be the last thing any of us should be thinking or worrying about for him on the court.
Yep. I'll be a little harder on him in this regard after he has more games to kind of get his conditioning back. So,
for sure.
Not to give him a pass.
No minutes restriction tonight, though.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a pass. It's just like in terms of just blazing him for it, right? I'm gonna be a little bit nicer until he has less of an excuse in terms of conditioning, because I do think he's probably not all the way in game shape right now, and maybe that's, when you're not all the way in game shape, that's when it's like, okay, he's going to score, I'm not going to exhaust myself further trying to get back for no reason. Like that sort of mindset starts to, I know that at times we're being like completely gassed where like I'll have that thought process playing full court basketball, right? Like, I'm in a lot worse shape than Scoot Henderson, so maybe it's a little bit more often. But like, I'll hustle back if I got wind or I feel like it's not necessarily going to be a bucket. But when I feel like it's going to be a bucket, it's like, why am I going to gas myself worse and like make myself more winded? And that's going to, affect a future play. Like when you're not in great game shape, that's when the thought process trends towards more of like conserving energy a little bit.
Right, but I brought this up several times this year, so it's not just tonight's game or whatever, or him coming back. It's also been there are times when he's played multiple games in a row and has been in good shape.
Yeah. I mean, something to watch for the rest of the season. Shout out Jason Hawley, $10 donation. Thank you, Jason. Says, you guys keep me on my toes. When you guys were discussing Ayton, I sided with Tori. Now with Scoot, I'm siding with Eric. Go Blazers Uprise. Thank you, Jason. Yeah, me and Eric are argumentative a little bit tonight, which is fun, which is a little new. So,
I didn't think we were that argumentative about Ayton.
I don't think we were even that argumentative about Scoot, because it's not even necessarily that we disagree. I just disagreed with how harsh it was. Like,
that's fine.
Yeah. So, anyway, thank you, Jason, for the $10 donation. Appreciate it. We got, Anthony Simon 6 for 18 today. The Ant haters are out in full force. They were real quiet for like the last 5 games because Ant had been playing really well, but Ant had a 6 for 18 shooting night, so time to come out of the woodworks and talk about how trash he is. Right? That's how it works?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, that's how it works, Tori. Don't you know?
Yeah, glad I figured it out finally. Glad I figured it out. He struggled. It's fine. He's been really good the past 5 games. Like, in a stagnant offense, he has to take a lot of difficult shots. The offense was really stagnant tonight. Maybe he shares a little bit of the blame for that, but also, at times, I think he's also a victim of that in terms of some of the BS shots that he has to take.
Yeah. He almost shot my birthday today. It's cool.
There was that possession. What was it? It was at the end of one of the quarters. I forget which quarter it was.
End of the half, yeah.
End of the half.
The first half, yeah.
He just dribbles in place until there's like one on the shot clock and then shoots a incredibly tough shot. And it's like, okay, he should have did something before that. But also, coaching staff, what the hell was the plan there? Like, it's just, nobody did anything, including Ant, but like literally the coaching staff and all the players on the court just stood there until there was one on the shot clock and then Ant had to shoot a contested shot. It's like, we really only blame Ant for that? I don't know. Like, nobody knew what was going on. It's because there was nothing going on. So, I don't know, man. There's just weird stuff like that where, yes, I understand why somebody would blame Ant, but also, what the hell are we doing collectively?
Yeah. That's tonight. That seemed to be the theme on offense, right?
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because we saw how good they could be with, Tomani and Chris Murray and stuff. Like, it's not like we had elite players running an offense that was only good because we had these players that were making it good, right? It felt like we were running some good system plays that were designed to get these guys moving a little bit. And that's all we've been asking for. And then tonight, it just seemed like everyone was just stuck in mud. I don't think it's a coincidence. It's because, Jeremy's back and plays the most minutes on the team.
Yeah. Yeah. There was I don't know. Like, I don't think Ant was too aggressive in this game. Like, he had...
Well, Derek White's a fantastic defender.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, there's a couple shots that were questionable, right? Like, he only shot once in the first 6 minutes of the game, and he made that shot. It's not like he came out of the gates chucking. He had, 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Watching some plays here. That little, Euro step left to right where he tried to draw the foul on Al Horford and threw it against the front of the rim. Like, yes, that wasn't a great shot. He's being aggressive trying to draw a foul. Ayton put it back. Like, okay, wasn't a great shot. He's trying to draw a foul. Like, we see questionable shots from guys trying to draw fouls all the time. It just sucks because he started off 4 for 8 and then finished 2 for 10. I don't know. Go ahead.
I don't know if it's a play you were just talking about, but there was one in the second half where he drove baseline and had Ayton wide open under the basket. It was an easy dump off pass. He tried to wrap around under the hoop and missed it. I was kind of upset with him on that one.
Yeah, he had a miss in the first half. That was an open catch and shoot, him playing in the flow. He had another miss where, they run a pick and roll with 9 seconds left and it doesn't materialize into anything, and then he has to go one-on-one versus Jason Tatum and shoots a step back midi and misses it, right? So they get the offensive rebound. That's the thing. 2 of his 4 misses first half, they get the offensive rebound. He had 6 misses first half. I'm just literally going through all his misses right now. They just run a lot of high pick and roll, and it's on Ant to make something happen. I'm cool with him shooting a more questionable shot if he's made a couple threes in a row. So he hits a 3 with 4:44 left in the second quarter, hits another 3 with 3:37 left in the second quarter, and then shoots that side step to the right off a pick and roll 3 with 2:52 left and misses it. And you can look at that and say it's a questionable shot, but he's made 2 threes in a row. Like, there is momentum, and you can get hot, right? And that's a bit of a confidence shot that we know he's capable of hitting. It's not the best shot, but there's also 9, I think it was like 9 on the shot clock when he shot it. I'm more okay with tougher shots the later into the shot clock you go. If he's shooting that shot with 20 on the shot clock, like, okay, a little questionable. I understand that you hit 2 in a row, but maybe see if you can work for a better shot. 9 on the shot clock, he's hit a couple in a row. I'm okay with that. Like,
well, I think same thing happened to Scoot tonight. You got past the ball with a couple seconds on the shot clock and had to shoot a bad shot. But yeah, those ones I don't blame the guards for.
Yeah. That play at the end of the first half, you know what I think they were trying to do rewatching it? So they come up, they set a screen with Ayton to force a switch because Derek White was on Ant. So they switch Jaylen Brown onto Ant, and then they run Banton up to set a screen, I think to try and get Sam Hauser switched on.
Yeah, they were trying to switch Hauser, yeah.
They did it way too late.
Yeah.
That screen got there with 2 on the shot clock. So Ant just pulls. I mean, and almost hit it to his credit. It went off the back of the rim. But, like, there's just stuff like that where he'll have to shoot in situations because the offense just is doing nothing and not materializing fast enough or just botched plays. And that is going to negatively affect his shooting percentages. Mm-hmm. I feel like, you know, that's the thing. Being a star player, the ball's going to be in your hands at the end of shot clocks and in situations like that. But I feel like this year, more than any year under Dame, Ant has had to shoot some BS shots because our offense stagnates or is just utter crap, and we're going up against a late shot clock.
Yeah, and I feel like Boston is, and they didn't have 2 of their better defenders tonight, but they're way too good defensively to hunt mismatches because they're good help defenders and they're good positional defenders. So even if Ant or Scoot or whoever isolates Sam Hauser, you get by him and you got, you know, another good defender stepping up into him. They do a really good job of taking away passing lanes from that angle and things like that. So it's just tough to do that against a team like that without just creating against your man without having to force those switches. And unfortunately, Ant's just not there yet as like a guy who can just take over against a Derek White without getting pick and roll heavy, you know?
Yeah, agreed. I really don't think Ant had many bad shots in the second half either. Actually, like, at least 3 of his misses, as I'm looking back, was him making a play off the catch. It wasn't him isolating. He had the play near the end of the game where Scoot pushed it up in transition, kicked it to him in the corner, and then he drove baseline and had a bad miss. Is that the play you're talking about where he missed Ayton?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. You know, like, got to make that dump-off pass. That's him not making the right read, but that's not him, like, being selfish in iso ball. Like, that's him catching the ball in transition, trying to go downhill, make a play, and just not making the read. That's not selfishness. Like, he has made that pass many times before. It's not that he doesn't want to make that pass. Sometimes you just don't make the right read, or sometimes you see the defender rotating late and you think, okay, I can get a foul on him, maybe get an and one. Momentum play, like you're down 17 with 3.5 minutes left, right? So, I don't know. Like, I think the Ant criticism is just like, there's a template here. If Ant goes 6 for 18, we're going to complain about him playing too much iso ball and chucking bad shots, and that's it. But he got cold in the second half. A couple of those were like good drives to the rim where Al Horford made a good defensive play to either block his shot or like there was one where he stripped him down low. He got credit for a block on it. Like, that's a good defensive play. That's him going downhill, having a chance to like get into the rim, where sometimes you got good defensive plays made. He missed a couple jump shots that were catch and shoot jumpers. That's him playing in the flow. He missed a layup where he caught the ball in the corner in transition and immediately drove baseline. That's not him ball stopping. That's not him playing iso ball. And that's where I get a little tired of the criticism that's just like copy, paste. There's no thought into it. Doesn't matter if he goes 2 for 10 where he isolates all 10 times or 2 for 10 where they're all catch and shoot jumpers. If he goes 2 for 10, it's like, okay, He played too much iso ball, shot bad shots, he's selfish. It's just copy-paste stuff with zero thought put into it. And that's the stuff that frustrates me with some of the Ant criticism is like there's this group of people out here that are just waiting for Ant to have a bad game so they can say the same thing no matter what happened in said game. And it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and then what else doesn't make sense is, okay, we have Ant and Scoot in the game, and that's the other thing too. I mean, those guys still need to play with each other a lot more to get comfortable and know what to do. So I'm not going to necessarily get too critical of either of them on offense for the growing pains as they learn to play with each other, and one of them off ball and one of them on ball. However, why, if Scoot and Anthony are in the game, why did we have Jeremy Grant bring the ball up the court a couple times and run both of them off ball? Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't understand that at all, Tori. It's like we're just like, okay, Jeremy Grant needs an ISO possession. Let's just let him go down the court and start with the ball and just have them stand in the corner. Like,
you know what we're preparing for with that? We're preparing for when we draft Matas Buzelis.
Yeah, true.
Or
no.
Go ahead.
I was to say for when we draft Bronny and then get LeBron next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's the master plan. That's Cronin's genius master plan. We're trading Ant and
we're gonna use the Golden State pick.
We're gonna keep the Golden State pick because we're gonna draft Bronny with that. So we're gonna trade Ant in our own pick for Franz Wagner, okay, and then we're drafting Bronny with the Golden State pick, and then we're getting LeBron. So we got Scoot, Franz, LeBron, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton. We got Bronny as our backup guard with Sharp.
They don't want Franz. They want Anthony.
Who wants Anthony? No. Franz is the other guy that we're going after.
Okay.
Franz and LeBron.
All right.
One of those is more of a joke than the other, but anyway. Speaking of that, I guess it's time for Tank-a-thon, huh?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do this thing. Let me load it real quick. We'll do Tank-a-thon, and then we'll wrap up the stream. No! Whoops. The sound clip played. We cheer for Tank-a-thon. We don't say no. All right. Portland is now... Okay, this isn't updated, though. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is, because Portland lost. What am I talking about? Portland is still 2.5 games behind Charlotte. Charlotte got blown out by Detroit today. Detroit won 1 in a row. Washington has won 2 in a row. So, if only Portland tanked a little harder. Eric.
They lose out, can they catch them?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think either. 18 games. But Charlotte's still passable. San Antonio, Portland is 4 wins behind them. Luckily, they have a 4-win gap between themselves and Memphis. So that is a decent-sized gap there. It's going to be hard to catch Charlotte. Portland's going to have to lose their next game against them, which is on, I don't know, it's, I believe in early April. I don't remember exactly when it is, but they do have one more matchup. Oh, it's April 3rd. April 3rd against Charlotte. Golden State is a game away from LA, and 3.5 games better than Chicago. It's kind of the same story. So let's simulate this thing. Scroll up from the bottom like normal. 14th, Pelicans via LA. 13th, Portland via Golden State. 12th is Chicago. 11th is OKC via Houston. 10th is Atlanta. 9th is Utah. So far, it is all chalk. 8th is Houston via Brooklyn. 7th is Memphis, which means Toronto. Freaking Toronto, Eric, has moved into the top 4 again for like the 6th dream in a row.
And then Portland should be 6th.
So Tank-a-thon are some Raptors fans, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And 6th is the Charlotte Hornets.
Ooh.
And 5th is Detroit getting screwed again. Moving down 4 spots.
We moved up. This is at least 3 in a row that we've moved up in the top 4, right?
Yeah, us and Toronto keep moving up. It's the same stuff every time. Let's see if we can get the number 1 pick. because last post-game stream, we got the second overall pick. We'll see if we can have a little better luck. We got Washington and San Antonio also top 4. At 4 is the Washington Wizards. At 3 is the San Antonio Spurs. So it's literally between us and Toronto for the second post-game stream in a row. So who gets the number 1 pick? At number 2 is the Portland Trailblazers again. And at number 1 is the Toronto Raptors again.
Your Tank-a-thon thing is stuck.
Man. Yeah, apparently. I think it was a different team in third last time, but yeah, it's Toronto and Portland again. So Toronto gets the number 1 pick.
Did you see the Ringers mock draft today?
Had Reed Shepherd number 1.
Yes.
I don't agree, but I don't completely hate it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
That's the same.
Go ahead.
The same person who had, isn't that the same person who had Killian Hayes number 1?
Yeah. Luckily for Reed Shepherd, I think he has a much higher floor than Killian Hayes.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that.
But any prospects you want to talk about?
I watched the Colorado-Oregon State game on recording. I kind of like KJ Simpson, and De Silva was nice too. I'm just kind of worried he is a little slow for a forward and not big enough to play center in the NBA, but I do like his skill set with his passing ability.
You know who De Silva reminds me a little bit of?
Who's that?
Chris Murray. A little bit.
He doesn't create as much as Murray, and he's a better passer, but I can kind of see it. Little, just not quick enough.
Yeah, just but just solid and smart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And can shoot. Although I think De Silva's a better shooter than Murray was.
A little older.
Yeah. If Murray was coming out in this year's draft, I would probably have De Silva a little bit ahead of Murray, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I think De Silva might be a little bit bigger too. A little better passer. But I think Murray is better defensively.
I don't know what Simpson's measurables will be, but kind of if he's, I don't know, he might be a little small. If he was a little bigger, kind of see him as a Nemhard type.
Yeah.
Just really solid, really smart, really knows the game, good feel for the game.
Speaking of a Nemhard type. Did you see Ryan today?
An actual Nemhard?
Yeah. Against.
I mean, I just saw the box score. But...
Yeah, Ryan Nemhard today, 16 points, 12 assists, 6 rebounds. So that's a real Nemhard right there. As Gonzaga drops 51 in the second half and gets a win. Let's go. Always got to make it about Gonzaga.
Yeah. What's up, Clutchison? How you doing, man?
We got Clutchison in here? Oh, my goodness. Let's go. Clackamas legend Ben Gregg, 4 for 7 from 3, had 17 and 11. Shout out to him. Gonzaga's been good since they inserted him into the starting lineup, so love it. Love it. What I also love is if you like the stream, because we're at 93, we're trying to get to 100. Yeah, I haven't watched, other than this Gonzaga game and a little bit of the St. Mary's game, I haven't watched any college basketball since Saturday. I went in on Saturday, and I'm kind of just waiting for some of these good teams to play.
Yeah, I don't know what he finished with, but Adama Ball wasn't good in the first half, and they were getting blown out, so I doubt he did much in the second half.
Yeah. But, March Madness right around the corner. If you want to get in on NCAA tournament action, make sure you use BetUS for your sportsbook needs. They're offering you 125% deposit bonuses with your first 3 deposits with promo code JOIN125, and sign up with our link. Helps out the channel. and you can get in on March Madness action. We'll definitely pick spreads, Eric, for March Madness games on the 20th, because the 20th the Blazers play the Clippers, and that's the night before the start of the first round. So we're going to have some fun picking spreads for March Madness games that will be available on BetUS, but you can get in on conference tournament action right now, as well as some NFL draft stuff with that. We're kind of right around the corner. Combines happened and all that, and free agency started today. It was a crazy free agency day in the NFL. NFL draft is on April 25th. That's when it starts. So you can get in on any sports action that you want with BetUS. Promo code JOIN125 for 3 deposit matches. Anyway, no other players I want to talk about. I'll have more thoughts later this week. There's a post-game show on Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So, and then the Monday after that and the Wednesday after that. So, jam-packed schedule for us, 17 games of the month of March. We got a lot of post-game shows to cover some of these prospects, to do some scouting. Do any of you have any questions regarding prospects? If not, then we can take a couple questions just in general, and then sign off the stream.
Have you watched Colin Murray Boyles?
I watched a little bit of that South Carolina game. He's not a shooter, right? He looked like 6'8" and like beefy.
Yeah, he's a good passer. He's
So
more of
he's
a passer.
Trevion Williams.
No, I don't think he's that beefy.
Trevion Williams is
Like
like stronger. He's a
6'7", 230.
Murray Boyles looks a little pudgy.
Yeah, he doesn't. I think he shot like 1-3 the entire 5. 0 for 5 so far from 3 this season. That's one of my main problems. 0 for 5 from 3 with a 68% free throw percentage. So yeah, it's kind of like Trace Jackson Davis last year. But I mean,
Trace Jackson Davis is like athletic though, so it's a little easier for him to play a undersized center spot. Like Trace Jackson Davis is impressively athletic. Speaking of which, he dunked on Wemby today.
Yeah.
So, speaking of another hyphenated name, but yeah, listed as 6'7", not a 3-point shooter. It's just gonna be tough for him to make it in an NBA role. Like, for some of the same problems that like Trenton Watford had. Too small to play center, not gifted enough or athletic enough to play a forward spot effectively against starting caliber players. Like, if he sticks and like develops a 3-point shot, then maybe. But he's one of those guys that I feel like will be a dominant college player, like in the next couple of years, and will be like a 3-4 year guy.
Yeah.
Who would be the best player available at the 5th pick? Max, I'm not sure who would be available at the 5th pick. It could be any number of guys. Like,
yeah, there's way too much variance on consensus right now to say.
Yeah, check out the last post-game show because we shared our big boards. So that should be able to answer your question. Max says some mock drafts have Nikola Topic going top 3 LMAO. Actually, like, consensus right now has Topic top 3.
Yeah.
We are against consensus in terms of where we rank Topic. Although I think the Ringer had him like 9th. So he's one of the interesting guys in this draft. I could see him falling and surprising people that think he's like a shoo-in for a top 3 pick, because I don't think he is. I think he is overrated a little bit as a prospect. I thought you said Gonzaga sucks this year. They did suck. They were like not supposed to be in the tournament, and then they beat Kentucky on the road and like have won a bunch of games in a row and have been like dominant the last 3-4 weeks, and now they're a projected 7 seed. And if they win tomorrow, I think, yeah, they play St. Mary's tomorrow. If they win tomorrow, they might be a 6 seed. So they went from like borderline 11 seed, maybe not even in the tournament, to 6 seed, 6 or 7. So thank goodness our streak is still alive, Eric. It would have been weird having March Madness without Gonzaga.
Yeah. How many consecutive years is it?
Like 25. Something like that. Like as long as I've been alive, basically. Mark Few took over, I think, in 1999, and he's made the NCAA tournament every year.
Dang.
Impressive for small conference school in Spokane, Washington. Eric also says,
Good.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying you're getting back to my heyday.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, of course, John Stockton, but their first big recruit since Stockton was a guy named Matt Santangelo from Portland here.
Yeah.
And, played against him. That would have been like 95 or 96-ish. I think he was a senior that year.
When you played against him, did you block his shot?
No, I didn't. I was a sophomore who barely played, but yeah,
tragic.
So, and he was a senior, like best player.
Yeah, because speaking of this post game and blocking someone's shot, no, just kidding.
They also
Chat already knows. I don't need to say it again.
A player on the team we played tonight.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, they also had Michael Doliak, who went on to play in the NBA for a long time. So yeah, they were really good in high school. But yeah, he was like the guy who got Gonzaga back or was going to bring him back.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could go on a run, but dude, Houston and UConn look unbeatable. Like Houston and UConn look amazing right now, so
yeah.
Which means they're gonna lose in the second round.
Yeah.
To I don't know who's the most
South
random...
Florida.
Yeah, or like
my South Florida.
Well, I think South Florida.
My Bulls.
Yeah, will be a 12, so they wouldn't face them until probably Sweet 16. But shoot, maybe. Although you hyped them up and then they lost to Tulsa. I was like, dang, that's bad timing. But
They're due for a loss, man. They had won 11 in a row or something. Yeah.
Let's see, who's the most random 8 or 9 seed? Oh, Florida Atlantic could go on a run again and actually beat a 1 seed this time instead of getting to face a 16. Or, you got Boise State, Colorado State. Got a lot of Mountain West teams in the bracket this year, it looks like. So, man, I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to March Madness.
Who beat Indiana State?
Drake.
Yeah. Drake's gonna get him.
Drake was getting a little bit of at-large love, and now that love is going to Indiana State.
Yeah.
You got a few brackets that predict Indiana State to be in, including Joe Lenardi's with ESPN as an 11 seed. So once again, that line is available on BetUS. Plus 195 for them to make a tournament. I think that's pretty good offer right now.
We need Kareem in the tourney, man.
I know. He'd be a fun guy, especially first four. Chris, I'm intrigued for that. But anyway, anything else for this post-game show, Eric?
Thank you for watching. Appreciate you all. I hope you have a good Tuesday, and hope to see you after the game on Wednesday.
Yep, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We got 1 stream on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday. Hopefully you can make it out for those, and we will try and make those as interactive as possible. The Blazers tonight lose to the Boston Celtics 121-99. They failed their litmus test. We'll see what they have on Wednesday against the Atlanta Hawks. This postgame show has been brought to you by BetUS, as well as Manta Sleep Mask. Information in the description box below. Use promo code UPRISE for 10% off on your Manta Sleep Mask order. And with that being said, we are out of here. We will catch you next time. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.